Okay, I'm really excited to be taking a look at the Light Seers Tarot by the lovely, lovely Chris Ann. This was a Kickstarter deck from last year that I purchased, and it was kind of a different kind of deck for me that I would normally go for. I mean, the art is gorgeous, but it is more of a modern deck, and I don't tend to lean towards modern decks. That's just nothing against modern decks whatsoever, but they just aren't the thing that I generally will lean towards. But some of the depictions of the images just really captivated me, and I really like Chris Ann's energy. And so I did back this, and it just came in today, and I'm really excited to take a look at it. I have not taken a look at it other than to take the plastic wrap off. This is a deck that is going to be going to Hay House in a more basic version of that. She has on her website, I'll put a link to her YouTube channel, she has a description, kind of a conversation about that, and I'm like, more power to you. I think it's fantastic. Congratulations to Chris Ann for that. I think it's great that it will hopefully be able to be out for people at a cheaper price point that they can usually do with mass market that you can't do with independent decks. I think that the indie deck is still going to kind of stand on its own as being a worth getting in on that phase for those people who did support it in Kickstarter. So, that's great. So if you like this and you haven't been able to get it, it is, and I don't know if she's going to be selling, if she has extra stock to sell afterwards. I'm not entirely sure. I will have links below. But if you like this and you didn't pick this up, again, it will be coming in from Hay House as well. And again, I'll put a link to the video to talking about it and a link to her website for this. So, but I did purchase this through the Kickstarter. So it comes in a gorgeous, gorgeous, I mean, this is perfection. And she, along the way, like, we got to vote on where to put, like, these are the 4 elements. I mean, look at how gorgeous this is. And we got to vote whether it was on here, where it was at. I think she ended up moving this down here because it made more sense. But it's, it was very interactive. Again, her spirit is just, she just seems like a very sweet and nice and creative and really great energy person. And that spoke to me as much as the art did. There is matte and glossy highlights, like where this green is and where this is at is actually like a gloss done. I don't know what you call that, but it's really beautiful. Light Seers Tarot, A Journey of Shadows and Sunshine. Love it. And then on the back it says, welcome to the sunshine and shadow-laden path of the Light Seer, a world where light is shared through a spectrum of human experiences and where shadow gently guides us as a loving teacher and guide. Tune into your own illuminating messages while stepping into this cast of contemporary characters and non-traditional archetypes. And then it has some images from the cards. Again, those are in that glossy tone. I don't know if you can see that. It's beautiful. I mean, everything about this is really stunning. So it's magnetic closure. You open it up and it's numbered 1049 out of 2500 with her name and sign, and it says, and into the gray we follow like 1,000 flickering stars, and there in a sunlight hollow we lose and find what is ours. Dear Light and Shadow Seer, may this deck help you to find what is yours. And I love that she says, dear Light and Shadow Seers. So that whole concept, it's called the Light Seers Tarot, but it's the way that the light and the dark play off of each other is the concept behind it, right? Which is beautiful. Love the mint green tones and all of the accent with that beautiful green. It's gorgeous. Oh, here's a lovely guidebook. So we'll take a look at that in a minute there. And then here are the cards. Let's pull them out. So they are doubled up. Not usually my favorite because I find sometimes they are hard to integrate. Oh my goodness, they feel amazing. So not my favorite to have them split up, but I understand it in terms of this fitting the book in. Look at the edges. Can we just pause for a minute and say, look at the edges? That's pretty cool. I definitely do not have a deck. Let me make sure yeah. Definitely don't have a deck with green sides that I haven't done myself, so that's pretty cool. Here's the backing. I'm very excited about this, so it's going to be a little more squealy, right? The separation is just done through one of these little paper things. Everything was nicely together. Nothing was sliding around. This could be removed, and you could simply put this in here and split it on top of this, and you know, just deal with it that way. Things will probably slide around doing that, but you have options there. So that's probably not my favorite, but there are other ways of doing it that I'm not very fond of either. So as long as it keeps it held there, I don't think, to me, it's not a huge deal. It just makes it a little bit wonky if you're just going to put the book back in. So I would probably, if this was staying out on my table, I would probably do that. Oops. Because I don't address my books very often, so that's probably how I will do it. And again, because this is here, it gives me the opportunity to do it however I want to do it. So there's that. Oops, I do want the book back out there, just so we can take a look at it. So box is gorgeous. This is obviously, not obviously, this is the full card, postcard. Oh, right. I want to dive right into the cards. I might actually do it this time because I don't know that I want to see the images. Well, we'll just do the basics here. Let's zoom in. So here we have the guidebook, Chris Ann, the Light Seers Tarot, A Journey of Shadows and Sunshine. It has a thank you to everybody. It talks about healing. Start by choosing your light and shadow cards. So you're going to choose your light and you're going to choose your shadow card. It's talking about uprights and reversals and what you might be doing with that. I don't work with reversals, so that's fine. Reading with the cards, kind of how, you know, kind of stepping your way through, and then how working with journaling as well. Some card spreads, the light and shadow, of course, because they talked about that. I do like the blend of a sketchy with the text. I do quite like that. Although I will say I kind of like this versus this really chunky. That's not my favorite, but I like the mix of it all going on here. So this is a light worker illumination, deepening connection spread. We'll try some of these. Calling in love, the soul joy. So there's a couple different spreads. I quite like that. And I like that they seem to be related to the deck, which I prefer versus just generic ones. So then it gets into the cards themselves. We have a small image of the card, which is always a plus. It's black and white, but it still at least gives us something. The title of it, the key concepts, light and shadow, right? So you're seeing the light and the shadow, or the, which I prefer than just reversed and or positive and negative aspects. So that's there. We have the experience here, which seems to me to be talking about the actual image, which thank you, Chris Ann. I really do love that. And then it has the message from the Fool. Then it has questions that you might approach this card with. And then you have insight from the community itself. So she would put these up on Instagram, and then people would leave a comment about what they feel about that particular image. And so she's included these. I'm assuming these will not be part of the Hay House version, but it's a nice community way. And then look at, here's another spread, the Trust and Fall spread. Let's take a closer look. So then we have the Magician, all those same things, questions you might have. And then we have from the community. So we don't have a spread there, but it looks like there may be. I don't want to look at all these because I don't want to see all the cards, even though I've probably seen them all. But there may be other like spreads that are sprinkled throughout here, which is kind of cool. I'm just trying to see if one will pop up without. Again, I want to enjoy them in their full color. No, I can't tell. I can't tell. And so, yeah, I mean, you get quite a lot that's going on here. It's, I think, enough to give you an idea about that. Again, I don't tend to go back unless I just need to quickly go into something. So, you know, this is more for you guys than for me. So now, let's go to the cards themselves. Now that we're zoomed in, you can see this beautiful, and it is a vibrant green. It is the brightest tone here in the middle there. So we have that. She did a dual Kickstarter where she was doing a kind of collage-y style deck called the Muse Tarot that was done as well. I didn't purchase that one. It didn't speak to me as much as this, although it's beautiful. And she's also done a different one before this. I think it's called The Sacred Creators. It doesn't have any imagery. It's just text and, you know, color tones and things of that nature. Oh, I did something wrong. Oh, I put it back wrong. There we go. Okay, I am back. It is not the same day, as we can probably tell from my nail change. But I'm needing to redo part of this, and that's okay, because now I did get to spend some time with it yesterday, splitting it all up in piles, checking things out, doing some readings with it. So that gives me a little bit, I guess, more to put into things besides just a literal unboxing first impressions. So my first impressions are the color is stunning, which you're going to see here in a minute, so I won't but I just want to say, like, the colors, I can't even begin to, I don't even know how well. Hopefully the images are going to, or the video is going to highlight the colors and do it justice. I'm going to try to do it in daylight, because once we zoom in here, I shouldn't get too many shadows. It is just stunning. The print quality, it rifle shuffles like a dream and holds its shape. The print quality is stunning. The line work shows up amazingly. The color is beyond beautiful and vibrant. I absolutely love the font, and this is not actually a font. This is actually Chris Ann's handwriting. And it's in several different places. It doesn't always in the same place, but it stands out bold and crisp and readable, and it looks fantastic. So I love, love, love the font here. What else? So yeah, it's stunning. It feels, and first go through for me, it feels quite young. I'm 50 years old, so I'm not that young anymore. So it feels very youthful. However, I did even go through the Rider-Waite-Smith, and the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith is equally as youthful. In fact, the kings and queens in the Light Seers Tarot are actually more middle age and above than the ones in the Rider-Waite-Smith. If you look at the Rider-Waite-Smith High Priestess and Empress, they both look like they're about 15. So it's on par with the youthfulness of, let's say, the Rider-Waite-Smith. Would it have been nice to see a few more people of different ages? Yes, but it is certainly true to the system that it is replicating, which is the Rider-Waite-Smith. But I would have loved to have seen a few more various ages. So it feels very modern, very relevant now to and very young and youthful feeling. In terms of like body sizes, you're pretty much, this is young, youthful, lithe bodied people. One exception to that, but for the most part, This isn't something that is going into various body images or body types. Again, something that you're going to see in older decks as well. And not something I have an overly big problem with. I don't mind my tarot being peopled full of beautiful people. I think they're archetypes, and we tend to see our archetypes and our divine energy often as young and youthful and sort of the idealized beauty of whatever time it's being depicted in. So I'm okay with that. It was some more diversity in body types would have been nice, again, but you know, every deck creator has to create the deck of their own vision, right? That's what their responsibility is. So it feels very young, very beautiful, very vibrant. It feels like energetically similar to the Moonchild Tarot, if you have that, which is also very beautiful, very youthful. But I love that deck and I use it all of the time. This is like the Sunchild, like the vibrancy, but it has a similar energy that it does also, in my opinion, lean towards the feminine. There are, in the minors especially, there are a lot of cards that were traditionally male that are now female. There are 4 in the major arcana that were male and are now female. So it, again, like the Moonchild, it has that feel of, yes, there are still men in here. The court cards are perfectly even on the men versus women, and the but the minors are, there's literally only a few men in the minors versus a lot that have been shifted over to women or to females. So, you know, I would have obviously preferred that balance to at least stay to the traditional, if not maybe swing into the middle realms of male and female. But it feels less feminine than the Moonchild, and I'm bringing that up not because they're copycats in any way, shape, or form, but it has a similar feel to it in terms of, same thing with the Moonchild minors. A lot of those have been shifted to females. There's a lot more men in the Moonchild than there was in the Starchild, but it's still a preponderance of shifting over to the female form. And of course, we know that masculine and feminine, or active and receptive energy, are not based off of gender, but when you do have a lot of one gender, it certainly leans in that direction. So this feels very active, vibrant, good mix of active and receptive energy, but it also does lean towards the female. So that's just something to be aware of. I think that's all of the, diversity wise, it feels much more diverse. I didn't go through and count things out in terms of, okay, well, who looks to be of African descent, who looks to be of, that one could possibly look Hispanic, this one could possibly look a little Polynesian. I didn't try to go through and literally split the deck up into piles, but it definitely feels more diverse than, I would say, most of my decks. That just speaks to my collection though. But it does feel like there is a good diversity of people, and or people that just kind of seem like they could fit in a lot of different categories, which is also nice. I would still say the preponderance is not on other ethnicities, but a larger percentage I would be willing to bet. So that, I really like the feel of that as a professional reader, to be able to have all of those represented there, at least in some degree. Okay, so enough talking. I just want to kind of quickly go through those things because since I had a little more time to play around with them, those are the things that I have noticed or paid attention to. But it is a stunning deck, and the color and the line work and the boldness and it's just beautiful. It does make me really happy. It makes me very happy to just even look at it. Okay, so here is a beautiful Fool. I really love this card. I love her energy. I love that she's just falling back into a pool of water. I love the crystal here, the sacred geometry, certainly a shape in which we often do crystal grids on. So there is just that kind of feeling of falling back into the infinite, and a degree of trust that I think is absolutely beautiful. What I love is when we juxtapose this with the Magician. So he feels, you know, while she's falling, it's almost like he's sitting on the opposite shore from the Fool. That's kind of how I see this. And whereas she's just kind of falling in, he is sitting and he is manipulating this energy. He has control and power over the energy here. I love that all of the elements are here. We have almost a solar flare in the background. We have earth, we have water, and then we have the air that we can see as he's manipulating the energy, that I think is really powerful. And I love that we don't have to have like the cup, the sword, the pentacle just kind of laying about. Like, it's literally part of the landscape that he exists in, and he is using that in a powerful fashion. I love the juxtaposition of these two next to each other, almost two different experiences at the same pool of water, which I think is gorgeous. Love the High Priestess. I do love that we have some runes up there. I absolutely love that her eyes are closed here. The High Priestess is a very inward, powerful energy. Love the crescent moon that's still there. I actually really like her, even her age. She looks like she's in her prime. Versus if you look at the Rider-Waite-Smith, because I did last night, she literally looks like she's about 15 years old. So she feels like a seer here, and I quite love that. Very youthful. I guess if there were two that I would probably want to be a little bit older, for me it would be the Emperor and the Empress. Those to me feel like are very powerful, very regal, very authoritative, sitting in the seat of their power, and that I think can be depicted beautifully with a sense of maturity there that I would have liked to have seen. Is this beautiful? Yes. I know some people have iffiness about pregnancy in the Empress. I don't mind it. This is pregnancy of the earth, which I think is really powerful. It's almost like she's wearing a cloak of water. The fire is around her. The earth is within her. Excuse me. And the air is of course all around her. And I like even the motions of all of these circles. So I think that it feels very Earth Mother, but it's just a very young Earth Mother. And same thing with the Emperor. I love the Emperor card here. I actually really like this. So this is just a minor, like if I was to define where is a place you could put a little more age, it would have been in the Emperor and the Empress. Whereas I just love that he's holding a chess piece, that idea of strategy, that idea of structured thought, and that feels very Emperor to me. I love his posture. He looks very confident. I like that the ram is here. He's like sitting on the planet, right? And it just feels... the confidence here does reflect the Emperor to me, which I do like. I love this. The Hierophant has been changed to Keeper of the Sacred, and I just love his face. He appears to be perhaps like Native American of some sort, or native, I guess, of some sort is what I kind of perceive him to be. But the joy here feels like the Dalai Lama kind of sacred joy, sacred laughter. And I actually really love it. It's not obviously traditional in terms, there's not that serious structured nature of the Hierophant here, but I love it. I think it's beautiful, and it just makes me smile. Here we have the Lovers card, very sexy, very passion-filled. I like that she's like tugging his hair. I mean, it's a very passionate Lovers card. Now, I like that there's at least 3 things. We don't have an angel or something like that, but I love this energy behind them and this burst of light in the middle that speaks to the higher self, the conscious self, and the unconscious. I do have 3 things I can tap into. I don't use the Lover card as about passion and love and things. It's more about making solid choices and decisions, but it is a very, I think, passionate Lover's card, and it's beautiful. I really love the Chariot here. I love his pose. I love the horses. I love the way that the trailer, I'm saying, I got trailer stuck in my head, and I don't mean trailer. I love the look of this. It almost looks like a gypsy caravan, or a Romany caravan is, I think, more appropriate to say. I love his body posture on here. It's that what I used to call, you know, kind of drop into the masculine squat pose for when I was doing portrait photography. But there is a sense of power to the way that he is just lightly but solidly on the top of this. I really like this card. This is my birth card. This is probably my least favorite, and it's not because it's a bad card. I think it is a beautiful card. We have Half Lion. You know, she's totally integrated the wild in herself. The Lamb setting here is, again, that feel of things being very integrated. It does have a sense of healing with the Lamb here. It's just, there's something about it that doesn't, for me, the Strength is one of my favorite cards, and there is always for me, a sense of, in a good Strength card, a sense of real power that is mixed with the civility, right? And this feels a little bit less powerful than some, but it's beautiful. So I don't have anything bad against it. It's just, in all the midst of vibrancy and power in this deck, it's probably one of my least favorites. I love this Hermit. I really love that the lantern is over here, and that the light that is shining here is coming from herself. This is obviously one that has been shifted over to a female form in the Major Arcana. But I do really like that she's up there. She's very contemplative, and that the light is shining from her. Lady Fortune is, again, very youthful, very full of a kind of luck be a lady tonight. She's got dice around her. These almost look like poker chips to me, right? So there's a nice mix there that you can read this either as that sort of gamble, you know, take a gamble on things, luck, you know, take a trip with luck, but also still has the feel of the wheel and movement and shifts. So I think that's cute. This is stunning to me. A lot of these I saw on Instagram as she was creating them. This is certainly one that I love so much. I can't even 100% tell you why, but there is this sense of justice, seeing clearly through for the seeker, or for whoever's approaching, for the message in some way. It's just beautiful. I just love the image. Here we have the Hanged Man, which is a female here, which is kind of very sense of Odin here, with the runes in the water below her that she's reaching for. Love this Death and Rebirth card. I think it's stunning. I love the cloak here. I love the new world within the cloak. I just think it's beautiful and powerful. I really like this Temperance card. You know, the original Temperance, we do see a lot of women in the Temperance card, but the original would have been, I think, is it Michael? I could be wrong. I'm not up on all my angels, but it's actually a male angel in the original, certainly in the Rider-Waite-Smith, and so I really love the use of sort of ephemeral wings behind him, but he looks very solidly in the earth, and I love the energy that he's juggling between the moon and the sun, which I think is gorgeous. This Devil is something else, isn't he? The other deck that comes to mind for me with this deck, the Moonchild, I've said, it's like the sun to the Moonchild energy for me, and I love the Moonchild, so that's a compliment. it also reminds me of Tarot of the Hidden Realms, which is one of my favorite decks. So that is also a compliment for me. There is a, Chris Ann has a gift, obviously she has a gift, but she has a special gift for me in her use of facial expressions and body poses. There is just something amazing, and this is something that the creator of Tarot of the Hidden Realms, I think, also does. They're not the same, they have their own thing going on, but there is something about watching the faces and the body postures in both decks that is just a joy to see. And that those two decks, and again, it's one of my favorite decks, so I love to see that. But this reminds me of the Shadow Dance deck, where it's like, okay, come dance with the devil. It might actually be pretty hot for a little bit, but you don't want to stay there, right? Because you don't want to turn into an unequal energy exchange. You don't want to end up having strings to the puppet, but it's very tempting, right? So I just think it's really powerful and beautiful. Love this tower so much because it is very much natural disaster, right? This is just something that happens. It's devastating and it can be difficult, but it is not something that is good or evil. It's just natural, big shifting energy that can, you know, shake things up. You've got burning butterflies here. You've got acorns for this poor little squirrel. He needs to take that acorn and run so he can rebuild. It's beautiful. Love that. Star card is so beautiful. She's got a tether, like a golden lasso around a star that's going to help to guide her home. This moon is very beautiful, and it's very poignant because you do have, again, the white and the dark dog, so you kind of have that wolf and you know, the civilized, or the pet wolf, or the pet dog, versus the more wild wolf. This moon is stunning. It is shining light under the water, and then she's under the water with a blanket. So there's this sense of she could relax into this and she will probably float to the top, or she could struggle and get into more panic mode. Like, you can see the ambiguity of the energy of the moon in this image that I think is really beautiful. Love this sun card. Now, traditionally there are naked male babies or either standing around with six-packs in the historical decks, or on a horse in the Rider-Waite-Smith. I love this. I think the energy of the sun just pops, right? It's just pure confidence, pure joy, and it juxtaposes beautifully with the moon. I love that, the energy there. This is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck, although I do have a number of them. But this is a stunning Judgment. And this is what I mean. Her posture here, and then the posture of this new self that is arising out of this, is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. What else can I say? But it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. And then we have a very youthful, kind of hipstery, it reminds me a lot of the clothing, a lot of the sort of the style of the, because it's a modern deck, but in its modernity, if that's a word, it has a very retro, like it's definitely, as someone who grew up in the 70s, it's paying homage to a lot of the hippie kind of style that I grew up in, but in a more modern, I don't know if that would make it hipster. Don't ask me. I know nothing of modern styles, but it has a very modern throwback to sort of hippie days. And you can see this, I think even in this one with her beautiful rainbow dress. She's balanced on what looks like a hula hoop, but it's actually snakes that are joined here. And I do like the sacred geometry again in the card itself. I put the swords first because, you know, I love the sword suit, is my favorite suit, and this is a Rider-Waite-Smith base deck, so that's always going to be one of those things that I have to see, how am I going to work around the ones that I don't interpret the exact same way. Love this Ace of Swords. Now, all of the aces do have people in them, although the Pentacles just have hands. They're all female as well, which again sort of adds to that very feminine nature of the deck. But I do really love this Ace of Swords a lot. And all of the swords do have a raven / crow in them. I don't know that all the other suits carry an animal all the way through. I want to say they do not, but I do love that about the swords. This is a stunning Two of Swords, right? Look at this tangle, and it's all around her mind. She's standing at a crossroads. There's decisions that have to be made, but she's got all of this. Her mind is pulling her in a lot of different directions, and she's got to calm that and move, and untangle her mind and move forward. Love it. This is really powerful. Now, as anybody who watches my channel know, for me, the number 3 is about growth of, and of course the Suit of Swords is about the mind. So this is growth of the mind, and yes, the mind that can come from great difficulty and great pain and great agony, but it can come also from other things. So, but what I will say about this card is that it does feel very powerful, life-changing emotions, right? This is that moment, and probably all of us have been there. I have certainly been here more than one occasion in my life, where you're literally brought to your knees with an experience that will forever change you. And this is certainly echoes that feeling. I do love that the tree is here, because it does still symbolize, you know, the dawn is going to come, the clouds are going to part. I'm going to learn from this experience and grow from this experience, but in the moment, this is where I am. So I do appreciate that, even if it's, again, not exactly how I prefer my Three of Swords. I love all the crows in the trees, though. If you're like me, that's a lot of guardians that are watching over as well, saying, okay, we're going to get through this. You know, do your scream of agony out, because tomorrow we're going to stand up and we're going to grow and learn. Love the Four of Swords. Again, everything is around crows and things. So we have like almost like Thumbelina in a nest, and Thumbelina is what began my love for and closeness to the Fae realm when I was a very small child. So I adore this. Here we have the Five of Swords. Again, we have that notion of victory, but there's blood down here. It's like, well, what's the cost of that victory? There's definitely conflict here of the mind, and he's even holding his head, which I quite like. This is a beautiful Six of Swords. Just gorgeous. I love Six of Swords in Rider-Waite-Smith decks, and that's one of the ones I do like to look towards in a deck, and this is stunning. I really like the Seven of Swords too, right? Again, that's one of the cards I really had to come to terms with, coming from reading a more Marseille style, and then trying to years and years ago, trying to incorporate, right, you know, at least know and understand the Rider-Waite system. So there is a sense of growth that can come from a sense of foundation. So the 4 plus the 3 for the 7s for me. But then there was always these thievery cards, and I'm like, how does that even relate? It didn't relate at all to the way that I saw the Seven of Swords. And so, but I've come to terms with it as just being, there's a story going on here that we don't know everything that's happening, right? This person is sneaking up. I love the feathers in the backpack. He's setting something in motion that we don't understand. He's setting a foundation for something to occur, and we don't know all of this. We don't know the whole story. We've got to dig deeper. Love it. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck, because it is one of my favorite Eight of Swords, period. She's not bound in the physical world. This is a sword suit. It's about our mind. And so I love that she sees herself in the mirror, and we can see that she's bound internally and in her mind, but she's not bound in the physical world. It's just stunning. I also really love this. I love that this white, either owl or it's a white raven, is kind of, there's ability to push that back and regain control of your mind. I think it's really beautiful. Love it. And this is so powerful and beautiful. So this is a, you know, a Rider-Waite-Smith version of the Ten of Swords, minus somebody being dead on the ground. Definitely has been stabbed by many swords, right? But they have been stitched up, and the sun is about to rise, and it's just a beautiful image. Powerful. I think it shows that you can get a message across of the Ten of Swords that suits the Rider-Waite-Smith system without having an animal or person bloody and dead on the ground. So I think it's stunning. I love it. So that brings us to the courts. Now, some of the courts have, in the pages on the knights, the kings and the queens are the gender, the traditional gender. In the pages on the knights, there's a mix of them. Some suits have 2 females, some have 2 males, and then 2 of them, I think, have 1 of each. But it ends up balancing out in terms of male and female gender, if that's something that matters to you. I absolutely love this Page of Swords. She's got all of these ideas. She's got a book in her hand. This is me growing up. I absolutely love it. It's adorable. I love him. He's like off. Look, he's got a bow. He's got the, you know, raven overhead. He's running to the motorcycle where he is going to jump on and go save somebody off in the distance from the zombie apocalypse. Like, doesn't that look like an apocalypse thing? He's a hunter. He is going to save the day. Such a motion-oriented knight. I love it. Queen of Swords. She is, I don't know what she's sitting on here, because there's something going on underneath here as well. I need to see what it says here. Let's just peek, because the Queen of Swords, she's my girl. But I do love, she's got whiter hair. I do love her posture has that thinker pose to it. She's got sword in hand. So I actually quite like this. I love the queens, most of these queens. I think all of them, but I don't want to say that until I go through them one more time. Let me pull up here. Highly astute, intellectual, and honest, the Queen of Swords sits calmly overlooking her kingdom. She knows she appears aloof to some, but she is simply tuning out the low-vibe drama that is clamoring for her attention. She prefers to remain laser-focused on the future of her kingdom, and she likes it up here with the gentle winds of insight, the only company for her thoughts. Yeah, it talks a lot about clarity and things of that nature. So, yeah, I do like her. Excuse me. Love the King of Swords. I mean, look at him. He is awesome. Is that not a sexy man bun? I love the owl. I love the bat. I love the raven. I love the dragonfly. I like, again, it kind of has a feel of like, okay, but with this other knight, like, or this guy, like, this isn't a kingdom, post-apocalyptic, taking back the world feel, but you know, I'm prone to those kinds of things, right? Got a symbol of air up here. I definitely love the King of Swords. I love the Page of Wands. And how are we to the Page of Wands? What did I do here? Alright, I did something. I love you, Page of Wands, but you're not supposed to be here yet. Okay. Definitely very fiery, interesting net here, like casting out the net of, and what are you going to pull back in creatively? I do like the concept of the net there, that I think is really beautiful. So here we have the Two of Wands. She's planning out her trip. She's out to see the world, but she's setting those plans first. And then I like with the Three of Wands, we have that she's waiting, the surfer, again, very youthful. Whereas you see more of a businessman kind of energy between the Two and the Three of Wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's definitely got a more youthful, just getting out of college, what am I going to do? I'm going to go on an adventure, that kind of thing. But I do like the idea of waiting for the tide to come in, which is very much a concept that you see with the Rider-Waite-Smith, where you're kind of waiting for the things that you've put out into the world to come back to you. Four of Wands, very celebratory. Again, it looks like they're like at a festival of some kind or something of that nature. And they are celebrating and pausing here for a minute and enjoying where they are. Very traditional, combative 5 of Wands. The 6 of Wands, I do like this. I like, since Jeopardy Tarot has a violinist on a stage, I like, and we see in other decks like that, we have something similar versus the sort of coming home from battle of older decks. This is more relatable, I think, obviously in a modern sense. I do like the idea that, you know, she's standing there and she's getting all the accolades, but it didn't come from nowhere, right? She's put a lot of work in, probably sang in a lot of smoky bars before she got to this moment, right? There's a lot, people don't just hop out on stage for the most part. There's a lot of work that goes into that. This light may be, you know, I may not have been my best bet to do this, but we are already part way through. It feels like it's changing now. There we go. I'm going to close it. Sorry if that first part ends up, but, you know, maybe between the two, you have a good idea of how beautifully wrought these are. Here we have the 7 of Wands. I really love that she is meeting the combativeness of the 7 of Wands. She's standing her ground, but in a very serene manner, very internal manner. 8 of Wands are almost like matchsticks being lit. Bam, 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 right? There's all of this energy. Be ready to grab hold. This is probably one of my least favorites. I love the image, so it's nothing against the image itself. But then I kind of talked myself through it, because at first I'm like, she really doesn't look like, you know, for me, the 9 of Wands in the Rider-Waite-Smith is very stand your ground. You've been through a lot. You just need to hold the line, like you're almost there. You're tired, you're a bit run down, but you're going to get there, right? But the thing is that this does speak kind of poignantly for is the fact that we can't always see that on people's faces, right? This young girl here could have been through a lot getting to where she is, and needs to hear that saying, you know what, hold on, because things are going to get better. So I do think that I can use that in a reading still and be able to speak to that energy. I love this image. This is one of my favorite images, not because it's the 10 of Wands. Like, I just love the image. Like, I love the way her skirt is being blown. I love the jacket over this, you know, the way that her skirts are. I love the boots underneath the skirts. I love her suitcase. I love the yak with the stuff. I just love the image itself. And it certainly speaks to the 10 of Wands. She is burdened. She's got a lot of stuff to carry, but she's not broken. She's moving forward. But for me, it's just more the image itself I really just love. Now there's our very beautiful, vibrant, and energetic Page of Wands. Same thing with our Knight. It's this movement and fire and the drum and the horse in the background. You know, there's definitely a sense of movement and passion and just throwing yourself all in. That does, I think, speak to the Knight of Wands. I think the Queen of Wands is the same thing. You just see this vibrancy. I love all the candles all around. I love her, the cat sitting in front of her, her hand raised high, but also holding the fire in the palm of her hand. Like, she just feels vibrant and alive. And again, the facial expressions on this deck, I think, speak a lot. Very gorgeous. And then here we have the King of Wands standing very solid, like hand in the pocket. He just seems solid. There's a lion behind you, but he's got it covered. He's in control of his own kingdom. So he does have that kind of control factor there. That brings us to the Cups. Ace of Cups. I do like this energetically. Again, I really prefer my aces without people in them, but I do love this. She's held at the center of her heart. Her energy is just kind of pouring outward from there, which I think is stunning. I love the Two of Cups. It's ambiguous to race. It's ambiguous to gender. It's just two people that are connecting, two energies that are mingling, and I think it's beautiful. I really love this Three of Cups. I feel like so very often modern decks tend to be either three naked girls partying, drink. There seems to be a lot of drinking in the Three of Cups for some. Like the only way that you can celebrate and party is by partying. Where this is that sense of connectiveness, support, connectiveness. I love that they're looking at the little. I'm assuming either the Little or the Big Dipper, and I just like the energy of this far more than I like a lot of more modern representation of Three of Cups. You know, this is beautiful. Color is stunning. I'm not a fan of board Four of Cups. It's a Rider-Waite-Smith. It's appropriate. So this is nothing against the creation of this, because that is the Four of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith system. I read it as stable emotions, that yes, if you leave it too long, it could get stagnant, but it's about stability in the realm of emotions, and she does look quite bored. But, you know, we can't have everything. Five of Cups is really beautiful. There's something really poignant here. It's almost like you're seeing the moon reflected in a pool of some way. So I can't say that I know exactly what is going on here. So let's take a look. But it really speaks to me. And that's one of the things that's neat about a deck, when you may not even know exactly why, but we do see cups that are, she's got a cup in her hand, and I guess this maybe is the other cup, whereas she's got other cups that are empty or filled, or she's got her foot in one of them and it's spilling out. Get your foot out. Yeah, this is really speaking a lot about grief, and just really focusing again on the cups that are not there, versus understanding that you still have this handful of potential that is here. So traditional, except for the obviously changed to female. Here we have our token older person in the numbers, and one of very few men as well in the numbered suits. It is adorable. It's got an older dog and an older guy, and they're kind of remembering back when they were fresh and new, and you know, seeing the world through those eyes again is a powerful experience. I actually really like the Seven of Cups. I love the water, and he's almost standing in the clouds, but we have this sense of he's up in the clouds, and he's kind of picking out what's underneath these different cups, which I think is, I don't know, I like this. He's very contemplating, like, okay, what am I going to choose? This is really beautiful. It doesn't entirely have the same power for me that the Eight of Cups will have, because it does feel very, you know, she's got like a headband around her and her clothes. It does feel very young and very modern. And she's walking away from peaceful energy and towards a new, which is how I read the Eight of Cups. But there's something I think about some traditional Eight of Cups where like they're climbing up the cliff of a mountain. Like this is a powerful journey, where I don't quite get the energy of that here, but I do think it's beautiful. So I don't have any issue with it. I really love the Nine of Cups. I think it's the only one that perhaps doesn't have a body shape that doesn't look very, very thin and young. But it's very powerful, and the energy is just bursting out. Like she has the wish fulfilled moment is just there, and it's gorgeous. I think it stands very well for that wish card. And then we have the Ten of Cups. You've got your rainbow, you've got your cups, we've got the kids and the potential future going forward, feeling that's there. Also does seem like an ambiguous, it could go either way in terms of gender of the couple here, which is nice. You don't really see a lot of, in the deck, there's some ambiguous, like the Two of Cups. Could be anything, as well as this one, but you're not really seeing a lot of I don't want to say gender, but sexuality isn't highlighted at all out really in this deck, other than the Lover's card, which is obviously a male and a female. Here we have the Page of Cups. This is not one of my favorites. His head's up, you know, he's up there and he's thinking of all, like he's not actively out doing anything, because he is this is more receptive energy, and he's just sort of sitting there. All these potentials are there, all of the things that he wants to achieve, and all the things that, you know, so it's more, it is showing that it is not an active out there thing, but more of an internal space, I think is definitely highlighted here. It's just not one of my favorite of the images. I do like him though. It's like he's like a hipster cowboy that's romantic and has got this like little ready to romance, that chivalrous knight in a modern sense. That's, you know, the best of both worlds kind of thing. Queen of Cups is beautiful. I love that she's half in and half out of water. I love all the water moving around. I just think she's really beautiful. Again, looks very internal. Same thing with him, eyes closed, sitting right, you know, in the midst of the water, the singing bowl, you know, kind of activating a singing bowl and the vibrations of that going into the water. It's really beautiful. I love this Ace of Pentacles. I kind of wish all the aces were like this with the hands, but again, they're beautiful. It's just it's a personal thing of myself to not like people in the aces. But they're beautiful, so I can't complain. But this is my favorite of the aces. I do love the Ace of Swords as well. I love them all, but my favorites would be this and the Ace of Swords. I love the roots coming out of the seed. Very, very youthful. Two of Pentacles, juggling a little bit too much here. I love the color tones of this one. You know, I love the swooping, the sand, feel like sand dunes here. I like the movement of the fabric and things like that. Three of Pentacles, again, you get that little bit of a hippie vibe to the card, and you know, they're working together to create what they need to create. I like her a lot because a lot of times in Rider-Waite-Smith, the Four of Pentacles comes out as greediness. And I don't see that with this card. It's more, there's a town off in this way, and she's like, not now. She's holding her purse like, this is not a time for me to spend, because that's how I read the Four of Pentacles. It's time to hold your money in. It's not a time to put your money outward. And so that works really well for me. A very traditional, beautiful, I like the wood door and the wood-looking mandalas versus, for the Pentacles, versus, you know, typical church scene here, but I think it evokes the same thing. I love the Five of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite-Smith. I really love this for the Six of Pentacles. There isn't a sense of poor versus rich here, but more that exchange of money and exchange of energy there that is necessary because we're all connected. I do really love the Seven of Pentacles. I like the half and half feel. I like the roots here. I like the tending to this little tree being born here, so to speak, and having to have the patience. It's like he's putting his energy into it. Very interesting Eight of Pentacles, right? The sense of mastery. She's not physically laboring, but she's got a lot of things going. I like the cycles here, letting things like go into their full cycles, and you know, whatever working she has going, letting it kind of come into full fruition. Different. I really love this Nine of Pentacles. I like that she's wearing the white dress, which you often see. Obviously, she's very youthful and modern looking, but it still has that white dress. It still has the bird of prey. And again, I love the colored mandalas for the Pentacles. So it is a beautiful card. Here's our other token middle-aged and up people here in the Ten of Pentacles. That sense of things moving on and next generation coming forward, and that type of thing that you see with the Ten of Pentacles, like a tree of life going on here. And our beautiful young page that still is very rooted and grounded, right? For all the loose youths that are like off of the ground, when you think of the page of Wands, still rooted, still grounded, standing in tree pose kind of here. So there is a very, while the youth aspect of the pages is still there, it's a very stable, grounded page, which I love. Love him. He looks like Johnny Appleseed of Pentacles. Love his bare feet. She's probably one of my favorite queens. I mean, look at her. She looks like the Queen of Earth. She's just beautiful. She is kind of resting in her power. Yeah, she's just at one with nature around her. It's really beautiful. And then the King of Pentacles, who looks really comfortable and laid back here with his wolf. So there we have all of the cards. Let me zoom back out here. Give these a shuffle. Again, I've shuffled these quite a bit last night. They shuffle beautifully. They don't feel like, at least as of right now, I can try to bridge them, but I don't think so. It's a pretty thick deck. A little bit. I think I could do it, but I probably wouldn't. But it feels like it's held. Like I said, I've riffled this quite a bit last night. It doesn't feel like it's bowing or anything like that. It feels really good. And it riffles really easily. I mean, it's a handful, but it's not, it doesn't hurt my hands. And again, not everybody riffles or cares about riffling. I will say that when you first start to overhand them, and even now a little bit, they feel, it's the beautiful mat, and it sometimes causes chunky overhand shuffling. That has already started to break up, and I think that that is, again, as most decks, that's something that eases up with use. And so, but that's one of the reasons I like a good riffle, because then look at that beautiful mix that can be obtained. So I'm just going to lay them out. It's laid out in a general spread size for me, just so that you can see them, of course. It's always the ones you say, it's not my absolute favorite, and they always, always, always show up to prove you wrong. Fire. I mean, they're just beautiful. The color, just the color is itself, just, you know, speak to my soul. For sure. And again, my other favorite thing is the titles. They are, you know, beautiful. They're not always in the same place, but they always stand out really well, and they're very easy for me to read. Thank you for showing it, Mr. King of Swords. They're just gorgeous. Which is my typical large spread. So yeah, I hope this helps you. Again, this was a Kickstarter, and I know they're still going through the Kickstarter, getting the orders out, but it will be coming to Hay House next year. And again, I don't know if I said this, but I will put a link to the author's, she did a video about that, which I thought was so beautiful. I'm so happy for her. I think that she did it really well. It's not coming out before people get their Kickstarters, right? Everybody's getting their Kickstarter before anybody's going to get it come out mass market. It is... you know, they're not going to be able to have the same exact quality, it's obviously, but then it also gets it out to a lot of more people. So I'm really happy for her, and I don't think that she has any reason to be anything but excited about the next road that this is going to go down. So if this is something that you missed out on, just watch out for it. Hay House decks don't tend to be overly expensive. Also, Hay House decks have started to have amazing matte cardstock, so I really think that it's fantastic that is going to, you know, be coming out for people to be able to work, for more people to be able to work with this beautiful deck, because it is really stunning. Does make me feel a little old, but so do some other decks. And that is just the nature of life, right? We are, time marches ever onward. Sorry, I don't know why. They're just beautiful. Like, you just literally, they feel amazing. They look amazing. You just want to shuffle them. You just want to pull cards with them. They're really beautiful. So I hope that this helps you in some way, or that you enjoy seeing this. And again, I always watch walkthroughs, even if I'm never going to buy the deck, because I do think seeing an artist's perspective is such a beautiful insight into just another way of looking at the cards, and I always learn something. So I hope that you have enjoyed this even in that capacity. I think I'll just go like that. In that way, because I don't tend to go too much to guidebooks, and that way it's really easy to get the cards out. So there we go. This has been a look at the Light Seers Tarot by beautiful Chris Ann, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day.